Hello and welcome to Cooking the Books with Heather. On this episode, we are going to be working once again from the Outlander Kitchen Cookbook by Teresa Carle-Sanders. Pretty sure I got that right. And we're going to be making Mrs. Bug's Buttermilk Drop Biscuits. We've made several other kinds of biscuits before, but all of those I'm pretty sure have been rolled out and cut. These, we don't have to do all that. We're just gonna scoop them into the pan and cook them like that. So they're a little bit easier in my opinion. So I've already measured out my flour in this one, but first we're gonna deal with our wet ingredients. I have the buttermilk and I have it in a little bit of a bigger container. She says to do this in a small bowl, but I'm just gonna do it in my measuring cup. Why dirty something else? To this, I'm going to add some honey. So I'm going to use, my lovely plungers, and we need teaspoons, which is not that much. So I'm just going to show you how I measure this stuff. Just squeeze it in until it fills up the whole thing. There you go. We're gonna put the honey in with our buttermilk, and I'm gonna use this to kind of scrape it off and to stir this. I got a little bit of honey on my finger. So we're just gonna try to stir this in, although this buttermilk is cold as requested, so I don't think it's gonna stir in very well. And then I have quite a bit of butter that has been melted. This, I chose unsalted butter. There's no recommendation here, but for this particular purpose, I chose unsalted butter because we are going to be adding salt to the recipe. So, and we're also going to add this right into our buttermilk and honey mixture. So it's going to get a little lumpy. The butter is going to clump up in the cold, but that is what we're looking for, so don't worry about that. So that's it for our wet ingredients. Like I said, I have my all-purpose flour, no leavening in this yet, already measured out in a large bowl, and we're going to add, this is an interesting ingredient. I've never added cornstarch to my biscuits before, but we're gonna add a little bit of cornstarch. I'm not usually super picky about that, but got as much out as I could. So got cornstarch. We're gonna put some baking powder in here. Again, quite a bit of baking powder. This is gonna be some of our leavening. There we go. And then some baking soda. Yes, it's open. A very small amount of baking soda. I can find the right one. There we go. It's fine. Baking soda and salt. Like I said, we're adding salt here, and this is just my usual kosher salt. I generally use Diamond Crystal. There we go. So that's all of our dry ingredients, all of our wet ingredients, and now we just have to mix the two. But first, we're going to use a whisk to combine these, combine the dry ingredients. It will help get out any lumps, aerate it a little bit. And mix it all up. There we go. And now, we're going to add our lumpy, she does tell you that it will be lumpy, our lumpy buttermilk mixture into our dry ingredients and splash it all over ourselves. That's just like I do. You don't have to. So there, I got out all of the butter and honey and everything that I could. And we're going to just stir this pretty gently. You don't want to beat this biscuits. You want to be kind of gentle with until, she says it's just mixed and the batter pulls away from the side of the bowl. So I'm just going to stir it gently. I'm going to stop trying to get all of the dry mixture into my dough because I think we've mixed it enough. There's not that much left, so yeah, should be good. I'm going to clean up a little bit so that I have room to put these in my pan. Okay, so we're going to bake these in a cast iron skillet. This has not been preheated and it is not greased at all as per the recipe. She says to use a greased 1/4 cup. I'm going to use this pretty large, it's about 1/4 cup disher that I have, to place 3 in the middle and then I think it's 9 around the outside. So hopefully that will work out. And this is one of these smaller. So she says a 9 or a 10-inch. Yeah, 9 or 10-inch cast iron pan, or if you don't have that, you can use the use a cake pan, and that'll be just fine. One more over there, and that's about all I'll get. So I did not get quite as many, but again, I think this is about 1/4 cup, but I did not measure it, so mine might be slightly larger than they're supposed to be, but whatever, they'll be fine. They may take a little bit longer to bake, but that is all. And these are gonna look kind of rough, kind of shaggy. That's what they're supposed to look like. Now, my oven has been preheated to 450 degrees. And we're going to bake them for 15 to 17 minutes, she says, or until the tops are golden. Usually it takes longer than that, in my experience, to actually get the tops to look golden. We'll see how long it takes and let you know. But while that is happening, I'm going to melt some butter. I'm going to choose salted for this. And when they come out of the oven, we're just going to brush the tops with some salted butter. That's all. She doesn't say salted, but I'm choosing salted for this particular part of the recipe, while I chose unsalted for the other one. It's a little bit more flavor on the outside, in my opinion. So, and then she says, you're basically done at that point. Cool them for 5 minutes before serving. We'll see how long they last. All right. So in just a minute, we'll let you know what we think and show you what they look like. On this episode of Cooking the Books with Heather, you watched me make Mrs. Bug's Buttermilk Drop Biscuits from Outlander Kitchen. We've made a lot of biscuits, but these are by far the easiest ones we've made for this channel. Drop biscuits are generally pretty easy, and this one actually, you don't have to grate the butter or cut the butter into cubes or mix it into the flour with your hands to get all the nice little bits of flour that helps your biscuits to be flaky and rise high and get the sort of layering thing going on. There's none of that with this recipe. Putting warm, just melted butter into the cold buttermilk helps get those kind of small pieces in there without that. So that's easy. And then you just scoop them into the pan and bake them that way. So super easy. Not the easiest recipe for biscuits I've ever made, but pretty close. So it's a super easy recipe for biscuits. And if you've never made biscuits, this is a good one to start with because you really can't mess it up, honestly. We did find ours to be a little bit dense, but I think that I could have baked them a little bit longer. I got 9 from my mix, whereas she gets 12, so I probably made mine a little bit larger than she does, so it probably took a little bit longer to bake. I did bake mine for about a little over the 15 minutes, and they were actually brown on the top, getting brown on the top just in that amount of time, which is unusual for me. She does say to bake them on the upper middle rack, so for me, I put it on the second level down, so not as high as it goes, but one level down, and that might have helped it brown a little bit better. But I have baked them pretty high before. Anyway, you do bake them at a high temperature, so found them to be a little bit dense, and I served mine with sausage gravy, which I love biscuits and gravy, but they are a kind of sweet biscuit. That honey made them much sweeter than I expected. So it's not the perfect combination, not the perfect vehicle for the sausage gravy, but still it was delicious. I think these are much better probably served as is. I think they would be a great, easy option for strawberry shortcake. Unlike one of the first recipes we made for this channel was a strawberry shortcake with a biscuit on the bottom as the shortcake part. I think these would be really good with that if you wanted to use them as a dessert. They're already pretty sweet. So they definitely go a little bit less savory. If you wanted them to be a little on the salty side, I would just leave the honey out, honestly. But yeah, I thought they were delicious. They were super easy. If you end up trying them, let me know in the comments down below. Give me a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button and come back and watch me make something else next week.